Antoine Griezmann said he announced his decision to leave Atletico Madrid. We don't know quite where he's going yet, but it's Barcelona, isn't it?
Well, that is certainly what everybody is assuming. Of course, this feels like a revival of that deal that didn't happen in the end last year. And I think in a way that Atletico Madrid knew this was coming because it was set up mechanically for this to happen. Remember last year, the reason that he was close to going to Barcelona was because his buyout clause dropped down on the 1st of July last year to 100 million euros, which made him expensive, but very much affordable for a really big club and for a player of that quality. It was basically an invitation for someone to buy him. Well, when he renewed his deal then, he inserted a clause in it which said that his buyout clause this year, on the 1st of July, would come down to 120 million euros. So it's only gone up by 20 million euros. So the possibility of him leaving was still there. They hoped that they could persuade him not to, but they knew, Atletico Madrid, that the decision wouldn't be in their hands. It would be in his. He has now told them, they asked him to be clear with them, to tell them early what he was planning to do. He has told them he is walking away. He has not told them, or at least they are saying he has not told them, where he's going, and he hasn't yet announced it. Now, of course, one very obvious reason for that to perhaps be the case is that this clause doesn't come into force until the 1st of July, so perhaps he wants to wait. Perhaps he doesn't want that to be public just yet. But, of course, it's absolutely inconceivable that he would publicly say, yes, I'm going, if he didn't have his destination already in place. We know that during the spring he spoke to a number of big European clubs. We know that Barcelona are among them. We know that they're interested. But I guess until this is actually tied up, everybody is going to be cautious, including Barcelona themselves, because last summer Barcelona thought they had him and he ended up phoning up and saying, actually, no, I want to stay at Atletico.
Intriguing. If it is to be Barcelona, Stuart, how do you see this working? How will he mesh with a certain Mr. Messi, for starters?
Well, I can't see him playing as an out-and-out centre-forward. I don't think that's his best role. I think he's always been at his best when he's playing for France, when Mbappe's running in behind and he's been the link-up player. In this current Barcelona side, Suarez, I still think, has got a couple of years left in him. He could play through the middle. Messi coming from just behind or from the right-hand side. And Griezmann doing what he did when he first started playing from a slightly wider area and then joining into the central areas. I think that could be a good link-up. It means that defensively there might be a bit of a problem because Griezmann won't want to do too much tracking back of full-backs, and you don't expect him to. Messi won't do it on the other side, and Suarez will press and do what he tries to do. But as an attacking force, that could be a good combination.
Stevie, do you agree?
Yeah, listen, the guy's a fantastic player, and he's going to join fantastic players. It seems inconceivable. They're obviously going to have to have some trial and error with the way they're going to set up. If Suarez plays right up high, then I don't see why you can't have both Messi and Griezmann underneath him. Or even if Suarez doesn't play, you can still have Griezmann as your centre forward and coming off and have other players going in behind. So, listen, Barcelona have kind of changed their style at different stages over the years. And when you've got a chance to have a guy like Griezmann, if it means just fiddling with the tactics a little bit, then why not?
Sid, we actually haven't had you on since Barcelona crashed out in spectacular fashion of the Champions League against Liverpool. Lots of speculation that this is going to lead to a pretty busy summer, lots of ins and outs for the Catalan Giants. So what do you expect to happen?
Well, some of it, of course, is already happening. They'd already announced the signing of Frankie de Jong. I think in the next couple of days, we will almost certainly get the announcement of De Ligt as well to join the club. Obviously, most of us are making the assumption, but I must confess we still don't know 100% for sure, but we're making the assumption that Antoine Griezmann is another one of those signings. So you're already talking about 3 players to be signed, an approximate total value of the 3 of them of somewhere in the region of 250, 260 million euros. It's a lot of money, and it is a big reaction to what happened. I think there is a sense as well that other things need to change. There are still question marks about Ernesto Valverde, the coach, and about how they set this up. But I think there's an emotional question as well, which is how Barcelona recover from this emotionally, given that so much of this season was hung on the Champions League, with Messi vowing at the start of the year that they would do everything that they could to win it. That almost set them up for an environment in which if they didn't win the league, if they won the league and the cup but not the Champions League, it wouldn't feel like enough. And so I think there will need to be some changes, and I think it will be very interesting to see how they react emotionally to this for the start of next season.
Stuart, do you sense this being a team that needs renewal De Jong and De Ligt being mentioned?
Those two would be absolutely great signings. De Jong, we've seen playing for Ajax, playing in not just a holding midfield role. He can do both sides of the game. He can pass the ball. He doesn't run forward too much. He can make defensive decisions as well, good defensive decisions. He covers fullbacks. He's an all-round midfield player. And De Ligt, at 19, I think looks a magnificent defender. Again,